Welcome to Truman's Town Hall with your host, Matt Truman.
Hello. This is Matt Truman. Thank you for downloading this episode. Thank you for sharing with a friend. Today is April 2nd, 2021. I apologize for not doing an April Fool's podcast, but we can ask the mayor of Huber Heights what he thinks about Truman's Town Hall. Mayor Gore, what do you think about Truman's Town Hall, about the audience of Truman's Town Hall? How do you feel about that?
You all suck. I hate every one of you. I never want to see you again. I'm out of here.
Wow. My good mayor. You really, tell it to us straight. All right. I kid the mayor. But I've asked him to come on the podcast. He won't come on the podcast. I think it was an important thing to discuss all of this and let it be aired out. I've invited him on the podcast. I'll come sign up for citizens' comments and we can have a discussion. I think it needs to be done in public. A private conversation at this point, I don't know if it would do any good. I don't know if a public conversation would do any good. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been following Huber Heights city politics for a long time, many years. Long before Mayor Gore was in the picture, I have been following the city of Huber Heights politics, the government, how things are done. And I've made some predictions, warnings, if you will, and they seem to come true. And I know there's many that like this podcast. There's many that listen just to see what we're going to say here on Truman's Town Hall. But what are the predictions that I've made over the years? Well, you can go back. You can go on Doc Truman, the YouTube page, and you can, that's where I have a lot of the podcasts that aren't available on Spreaker, which is the service I use to put these out. But over on the YouTube page, you can review all the podcasts over the years, and I've made different predictions. I've talked about different issues within the city, and each issue that I've talked about, I think I've been pretty accurate on. And it's not that I'm this all-knowing, all-seeing, brilliant person. It's just, it's easy to follow Huber Heights politics and to know where it's going to go, to know what's going to end up happening, right? We talked about the city manager many times on podcasts back in 2017, 2018. Okay? And how did that end up? That was a warning. And we tried to warn the mayor about this, but he was steadfast in keeping the city manager. And ultimately, he had to force a resignation there. Did he not? We've warned about city-owned businesses. These aren't good ideas for the city to get involved in businesses because things happen. It is a huge risk for the citizens to be involved in city businesses. Will the Music Center bounce back? Hopefully. For the sake of all the residents in Huber Heights, yes, I hope it does. But COVID did not help out any on that, did it? That's a risk you take. On this podcast, we have preached often about infrastructure. Okay, what is a city's job? A city's job is to collect taxes and then provide infrastructure, water, police, fire, things like this. That's a city's job. A city's job is not to invest in risky business. And we've talked about that. And I guess what really got me fired up over this past week was the post that the mayor made on his Facebook page, taking credit for a lot of things, using I in a lot of things that took a group of folks, a ton of people to get done. And you got to give credit to where credit is due, and there's credit to be spread around. It's not just one person getting things done. There may be folks listening to this podcast who took part in a lot of the things that the mayor took credit for. And it's not that he didn't have a hand in getting it done, because when you're elected to mayor, okay, it's actually the people, is it not? Okay, the people elect you. They give you their tax dollars. They give you their money. So you utilize that position that you are given by the people and the money that you are given by the people to produce these things for the people. That's all I'm talking about. Nothing more, nothing less. It's simple government, civics. After the mayor's post a few days ago, I had folks reaching out to me like, hey, why is he taking credit for all this? I don't know. I don't know why. And then I put out a little post. I try to be kind and nice, but it's growing harder to do so. I don't want to be a jerk. I want to be a nice guy. I'd love to get along with everybody. When our little group, Huber Heights Veterans Project, began, we invited every city council member. We sent emails out. A few showed up. A few took part. A few have decided that they wanted it to be something else, and the city has since taken it over. So I think we should talk about that a little bit. Give a little history on the now defunct Huber Heights Veterans Project. And it's only went away because the city secretly, and that's how I view it, secretly, behind our backs, created this commission. Not once did the city manager, the former city manager, sit down with us, even though we asked. Not once did he sit down with us and have a discussion. Our goals, simple goals, were to keep it out of the taxpayer's pocket, keep it out of politics. Well, that's gone, right? When politicians take control of stuff, it pretty much eliminates keeping it out of politics. Our goal was to keep it out of politics, bring everybody in. Okay, we're all going to work together. We're going to bring in the city council, the city government, the bureaucracy of it all, the residents, veterans. There were young kids involved. I mean, there was a big ordeal with this. It was a lot bigger than what people thought it was. It meant a lot to many people. And I think what happened was this podcast. I got to be honest. If I'm going to put blame anywhere, I got to put it at my own feet. Maybe I shouldn't have got on here. You would think you can express your opinion about politics and, it is what it is. At least that's how I feel. I get angry for 10 minutes and then I'm over it. But for other people, they hold on to that. And I got to start thinking more about other people. Okay? I don't come on here and think I'm perfect and think I've done everything, by the numbers, because I don't. And I'm going to correct that and do better. I think if you're not striving for better, you're not striving for anything. So way back in, we'll just break it down. We'll just go on this, and then we'll end the podcast and we'll start over, and everybody will have a happy Easter. Back in 2015, I ran a horrible campaign in the city of Huber Heights running for at-large. I ran against Team Huber. I ran against Glenn Otto. And ran a horrible campaign and lost bad. Came in last. I earned like 700 votes in the city which I was very grateful to have. Thank you for whoever voted for me back then. But I was sitting one night, and I wasn't beating myself up or anything, you know. You you take the good with the bad. But I was like, what else can I do? I'm not on city council, so what else can I do? And I was just beating around some ideas, and I mentioned to someone, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mow grass for veterans who are deployed. And the person I mentioned this to said, no, that's probably not a good idea. You probably don't want to do that. And then we had a discussion about that. And then later on, I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to gather up some folks, and we're going to do a veterans memorial because that's what's been needed. Back in 2009, I actually emailed a council member. There was a soldier who was from Huber Heights who was killed in the line of duty. And I emailed a member of the city council of Huber Heights and said, hey, we need to do something for this soldier. He gave his life for us. Let's name a park after him. Let's do something. And the email I got back was, well, we gave his family a key to the city. Huh. I don't know. At the time, I took that as a bit of an insult, a bit of a throwaway. That councilman is no longer in the city of Huber Heights, so all right, good, better luck to that person. But anyway, so veterans have always been near and dear to my heart. I am one, actually, right? Combat veteran. Served in Afghanistan, got shot at, you name it. I saw it, and I still feel it to this day. Okay? So we gathered up at a local restaurant in the city of Huber Heights, and I put out some feelers, and a bunch of people showed up. A bunch, and I'm saying maybe 10 to 20 folks showed up. And we started this thing called the Huber Heights Veterans Project. We had no idea how to start a 501c3. We just, researched it, did the best we could, tried to get the council members on board, and it was kind of hard at first. And then I think it's important to note, there was not one council member looking to do anything like this. There was not one government official looking to do anything like this. As I mentioned previously, even when you emailed them, they didn't want to touch it. There were other citizens who had attempted this before, so I'm not saying this is an original idea, but nobody was working toward this until we came along, the Huber Heights Veterans Project. So we began to work on it. We did some fundraisers. We sat out at different festivals and did giveaways. We did a gun drawing and was helped out by a bunch of people, right? And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we did a lot of stuff and we raised a little bit of money. But the key to it all was our initial goal was to get private land and build it on private land, but our backup goal was to, if we needed to, utilize a city park because maybe that's where it belonged. So we kept trying to get the city involved, and then we tried to talk to the city manager. He wouldn't have nothing to do with this, but your current interim city manager did sit down with us, Scott Fikowski. He sat down with us and gave us a lot of good input, a lot of good ideas. He's a good dude. I honestly believe that. And he's at the time, we believed that the memorial would have been good at Belle Plaine Park. And then we had some residents around there say, no, we really don't want it there. Okay, that's fine. What about Moneta Park? That's right there on Fishburg. And then they ended up dedicating Taylorsville as Veterans Memorial Parkway. And with a recommendation from Scott Fikowski, hey, how about behind the police station? It'll be behind the police station. There'll be plenty of security back there because it's behind the police station, so nobody would usually attempt to deface a memorial, which obviously has happened in the past. So we said, okay, yep, that's it. That is the park right behind the police station. So we went with that. We were doing some fundraisers. I ended up moving to Texas and transferring the responsibilities that I was holding as the president of HHVP on to someone else. Life happens, and that person had to go tend to his stuff. So then I said, okay, we'll keep it going, and I'll take back over the role as president from Texas, and we'll get this memorial. We'll get a rendering drawn up, and we'll present it to the city. And I believe I came home from a trip. We had it all drawn up through a contractor that the city uses because I wanted to try to coordinate everything. And we had a rendering done. A pretty cool rendering, I think, right? And mind you, all of this was going to be funded privately. The taxpayers were not going to have to shell out one dime other than saying, you guys can put this memorial here on this park. If we could not raise the money to buy or purchase land on our own to place the memorial. We talked to electric contractors. We talked to plumbing contractors. We talked to one of the foremost experts in building these types of memorials that have built memorials throughout Ohio. We've talked to other folks who built memorials. We visited probably, dozens and dozens of memorials throughout the state of Ohio and throughout the country, as a matter of fact. We did a lot of research, and I won't go into all what we did. Well, then I began to do this podcast and talking about politics and political ideas and things like that, and then all of a sudden I hear through the grapevine that Mayor Jeff Gore has created this commission. He didn't call one of us. He showed up to, I think, 2 meetings that we had done. He had volunteered himself to be the treasurer. He had told us he could get this memorial funded through a private entity. And anytime I'm dealing with a politician, I'm always a little leery. I think you guys understand that. Even the politicians that listen to that are leery of other politicians. So I just waited. So then we hear through the grapevine that the mayor's creating this different commission. We hadn't heard a thing. I'm like, what's that all about? We're doing this. And he's going to do that. Oh, I kind of figured it was this podcast. So yeah, the once he created the commission, I guess, it opens it up to be more honest. Talk about more things. What else do we have to lose? So when people say, yeah, Matt's salty because, yeah, I am salty. When somebody tells you that, oh, they're on board and they're going to help you and do all this, and then behind our back, a group of veterans, combat veterans from Vietnam to Afghanistan, widows of veterans working with you, kids throughout the community working with you, wanting to work with you, groups, other nonprofits throughout the city. It could have been a wonderful thing. It could have been a group effort, everybody chipping in. And there isn't one person that is listening to me now that can ever say, Matt wanted to take full credit for this and move back to Huber Heights and run on it. And blah. I don't know what people are thinking. But that wasn't what Matt was going to do. But the mayor posted. What is he running on right now? Creating this commission and the Veterans Memorial. I was angry. I was pissed off when I read that. And I wasn't the only one. Like I said, I had people hit me up. What is up with this dude? Why is he doing that? Well, he's a typical politician. That's why he's doing that. And he won't have a conversation about it because he knows the truth. He knows exactly what happened. He knows why he did what he did. He knows why the city manager would not talk with us. Now the city manager's gone. Why? He mentioned during that whole special meeting thing about, well, there was this granite issue with the Veterans Memorial, and that's why when I said it in the other podcast, that how ironic it was that this Veterans Memorial is part of why the city manager is gone. That's pretty ironic, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a heck of a lot more to this story, and I would love to have a conversation with your mayor about this publicly, because I think you guys deserve to know. I wouldn't edit any of it. We could do it live. We could do it at City Hall. I'll come up, sign up for citizens' comments. He can say whatever he wants. He's got Miss Burge there who attended some of our meetings. She could chime in and tell everybody what she thinks about it. I won't bring a soul, because I don't want anybody that was involved with this to be caught up in any of this political BS that this situation shouldn't be caught up in. I'll come alone. We can talk here alone. You can have all the people you want talking about it. I don't care, because I know the truth. And ladies and gentlemen, when you stand on the truth, you don't have to be afraid of anything. You don't have to worry about anything. There are going to be people out there saying all kinds of different things. I really don't care. Even folks who know the truth and know what's going on will still want to spin it for their friends. And that's what's hard about city politics, because it's a tight-knit group. You got friends who've went to school with each other, who've hung out with each other, who continue to hang out with each other, who love each other, that want to get involved and say, no, let me discredit this person because they're actually telling the truth. I've got nothing to hide. I live a boring life. But that conversation won't happen. And it's not because I don't want you folks to know, because I think you deserve to know. I think the commissioners that sit on that Military and Veterans Commission deserve to know what actually happened and why they have to deal with all the political BS that they have to deal with now, because I knew back then that when you bring politics into something like this, it will not be a good situation, and it's not a good situation.
In fact, we may have some email traffic going on before then as he finds out what he's researching. I asked him to update us as he goes along, because I told him we have to be out in front of this, because if this gets out into the public, it might not be fun. And I know everybody's saying, what is he talking about? And I think right now we just need to let him do his research, and then we'll...
That was the chair of the Military and Veterans Commission. I don't know, discussing something about emails getting out to the public not being fun. I don't know. You guys can research it. Now, I will say this to any member of the Military and Veterans Commission that's listening to this podcast or that gets a hold of this, just pay attention. Politicians will be politicians. They will try to direct you in a certain way that they want you to go, and they'll talk nice to you and tell you how great you are and how much appreciated you are and blah, blah, blah. Just remember, especially if you're enlisted, just remember what real leadership is and how it acts and what you need. Because I commend each and every one of you. You guys had no idea what you were getting into. And you're doing a great job. And once this is all said and done, it doesn't matter who gets credit for a memorial. There will be one. And if you can have fundraisers, please do. I think it would be important to have fundraisers, to fund this privately. And keep it out of the pockets of the taxpayers. That's just my opinion. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. truepodcast@gmail.com. Whatever you need. I'll do whatever you guys want. I don't care. I don't know. So I didn't play that clip to call anybody out or to make it a big deal. It's just that's what happens when you invite government into something that doesn't need to have government involved with it. There's a lot of lessons you can take from just watching the city of Huber Heights and how they work their government, how the politicians act. I don't think they're bad people. And I think a lot of people listen to this podcast and are like, oh, Matt hates these people. Matt does not hate these people. I can be frustrated. Is that okay? Can I be frustrated? Okay. I can be selfish, right? We all have these emotions, do we not? Okay. Are we all perfect? Anyone judging me, are you perfect? Anyone that I'm judging, am I perfect? Okay, we can all agree no. Right? And we all believe that things should go a certain direction. Things should go a certain way, and we can have disagreements. And that should be okay. There shouldn't be hate involved in it, because I certainly do not hate anyone. I may have a certain idea of how things should be, or a certain idea about politics, or a certain, point out certain things that politicians do. Like, hey, I have been following a long time, and I know people know that. That's why they listen to this podcast. Hundreds of people listen to this podcast because they know I've been following the city of Huber Heights for a long time, and I'm trying to get off of Huber Heights. As a matter of fact, this will probably be the last Huber Heights podcast unless a candidate wants to come on and talk to the people that listen about what they're running for. And it's going to be a long year and a long election. I'm the type of person that when I see something that I feel is wrong, I'm going to speak out on it. Just as when folks see what I write and they feel it's wrong, they speak out on that. In a weird way, all of that is right. It's important to disagree. It's important to find common ground. Okay, both of those are important. But it's also important not to hate each other because of it. So let me be real clear. I can get frustrated. I can get angry. I can get sarcastic. I can get rude. But I don't hate anyone. And if anybody hates me, that's on them. They have to deal with that hate in their heart. Because I give it up. I give up the hate to God. All right, so there's that. I may not have told the full story, and I may not have done a good job at it. But I do invite the mayor on this podcast. If he wants me to come down, sign up for citizens' comments and discuss it on his podium and his turf, that's fine. I don't mind to do that either. If he wants to leave it alone and not have to deal with it, that's fine. This is it. But leave it off your campaign. Okay? Leave the Military and Veterans Commission off your campaign. Leave the Huber Heights Veterans Project off your campaign. Leave my name off your campaign. Because when he edited his post, he put me in the Huber Heights Veterans. No. It's not about taking credit. That's what he knows this because I told him that. It's not about me taking credit. It's not about us taking credit. It's about a group effort trying to get something done for the veterans, for crying out loud. So in the future, just ask him. If you're one of his friends listening to this, hey, just leave it off. Don't even bother with that because then you'll just get Matt riled up. He'll do a podcast or a post on Facebook. And a lot of people listen to that. So just leave it off. You want to talk about the dog park, whatever, then that's other people. They have to deal with that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just on here rambling. Who knows? I'll leave it at this. We'll get off of that. I'll say this. I care about the city of Huber Heights. I was born and raised there. I still love it. I was there today, as a matter of fact, rolling through. Dropping something off to somebody for this Easter holiday because it's a wonderful holiday. It's the greatest holiday. The Lord Jesus Christ was executed and rose on the third day for our sins. And we're all sinners. I look at myself and I think, man, I am a huge sinner. So when I do this podcast and I point things out toward other people about politics and this and that, that's small potatoes compared to what is actually going to happen to all of us. We're all going to die. Do we want to die and be dead forever? Or do we want to live in eternity? So going forward, yeah, I had to explain a little bit of what was going on and where I was at with different things. But going forward, I need to think about that a little more. And I want you guys to think about that a little more. Each day is a gift. But each day we're put here, we need to look at things that we can do better and do for others and serve others. When the mayor of Huber Heights wrote his slogan, "People, Not Politics," I think he meant it. Politics bleeds in, just like when I'm on here. I love people too, but a lot of times politics bleeds in, and it takes control of you sometimes. We can't let the evil one do that. No. If we truly turn our hearts to God, we have to do better. And we have to learn from our past mistakes. And we have to learn from what we've done wrong. And we have to forgive. We have to forgive, as God has forgiven us of our sins. So, I need to give it away. I forgive anyone who's done me wrong, and I pray and hope that you forgive me if I've done you wrong. It's Easter. We celebrate the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ on Easter. And if you're one of those, like me, who believes in God and believes in Jesus and believes that he died and was risen, then we forgive and we ask God to forgive us our sins, right? And we have to do better. When we learn exactly what the Bible teaches us and we learn exactly where God is leading us, we have to move forward. So yeah, this may be one of the last Huber Heights, City of Huber Heights podcasts, unless a candidate wants to come on. But, yeah, I don't know. Kind of rambling now. I wish you all, even, you know, I get messages, people mad that they listen to this podcast, and then I talk about certain issues. So I ask you to forgive me. Is it possible? You haven't heard me on the Facebooks in a while, have you? And I may pop in and have an opinion, but it's not, I truly don't mean it personal. It's just a political opinion. Because what you do in your own lives, that's your choice. What I do in my life is my choice, right? I don't hate anyone, and I hope you don't hate me. And if you disagree with me, that's cool too. We will talk about politics on here because there's a lot of crazy things happening in the world. There was a dude, apparently another Muslim guy, who drove through the gates of the Capitol, killed a police officer. Prayers, sending prayers. We live in a crazy world, guys. I think, local politics are super important. Even if you don't live in that city, it's important. Because maybe you know people that live there. Maybe you have family that live there. And you want those people to live right because you care. But it doesn't have to get to the point of hate, because I think we're growing. We're growing to a place where we're starting to hate each other too much. And we need to start loving each other a little more, being a little more understanding, and learning how to forgive. Anyway, I don't know. I'll keep going if you'd let me. I hope you all have a wonderful Easter. I'll talk to you next week, and we'll have something planned. I don't know what it is. We'll just let things go how they go. Happy Easter, guys. Talk to you later.